everyone. Welcome back to A Tribe Called Dhillon podcast. I'm Angie Dhillon.
And I'm Rose Dhillon.
And I'm Alvin Dhillon.
Have you noticed that our episodes are real punchy lately? We're getting straight to the point, and that's what we're going to do right now. Win of the week. Elle, over
Clear,
to you.
concise, right to the win. Oh, my win is actually kind of cool. So we have a cousin. His name is Kevin Kayla. I don't know why I looked at the name, but he actually, I found out only about I think a year ago, he was actually going through a lot of mental health issues. As we grew up, I'm not gonna lie, I did find him very irritating to be around. But little did we know, we're all growing up, we're all dealing with our own stuff. So he was dealing with a lot, and he finally, I guess, a few years ago decided I doesn't want to live like that. He wants to finally enjoy life and get out of his own head. So his own story will be told at another time. I won't get into the details of it, but he wrote a book, and it's basically, I think it's a mental health poetry book. He calls it Mental Health Edition Volume 1, Watch Me Grow. He gave it to me about a couple months ago, but I was in the middle of renos and I was a lot of things going on. And I'm one of those people, if you're going to give me like this is your art that you've given me, I'm not going to just breeze over it or look over quickly and reply back to you, oh, this was great, and then forget about it. So I put the book down. Mom read it. A few other people read it. I think you guys had some time. You read a little bit of it, but I put it away. And then finally I said, okay, now I've got some time. I'm going to dedicate my proper, my attention to this. Yeah, my focus is. So I started reading it last week and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. I was like, this is some good stuff in here. And you can start feeling the stuff that he's been going through. So I said, okay, you know what? That's going to be one of my wins of the week, because this is actually a really good book. And so far I haven't gone through all of it, but I'll read out a snippet of it. So this is one of the pages called Discovery. And this is already the book, Watch Me Grow by Kevin Kayla. I'll put the proper JPEG of it on the screen. I'll link him in there. So I'm going to read a little snippet of it here for you folks, which is pretty powerful. Okay. So this one's called Discovery. It's not that I want to leave, nor do I want to say goodbye, but I struggle to love myself no matter how hard I try. While I'm looking for answers, none of it seems to be right. Wishing for brightness despite breaking all of my lights. As I glance a mirror, I don't see what I like, but I'm tired of running through the night. I may not know where I'm going, but I know where I come from. Searching for tools to develop, growing into the man I hope to become.
Wow.
Wow. That's
pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff.
That's deep.
Yeah, it's really
and that's
well
brave.
done.
Good for him.
He wrote this while he was going through a lot of his mental health issues, and he's turning his life around. And when you actually talk to him now, you can have a healthy conversation with him and a proper conversation. You can see the light in his eyes.
Wow.
And it's great to see that. Hey, man, it's more inspiring to us too to see someone putting the work in. And when I talked to him, he said, yeah, it's been 4 years of therapy.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, it's working. Whatever you're doing is working. So it's great to see him, and hopefully we'll have him on the podcast one day. But keep it up, Kevin, and we'll check out his book. I'll link his Instagram in there, and you can give him a shout out if you want to purchase his book. I believe they're going for about $20. So if you want to support him, Kevin Kayla, Watch Me Grow.
Congratulations, Kevin. It's
Shout
great.
out to you.
Shout out to you.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Well done,
wow.
man.
That's a great
Yeah,
that was pretty depthful. Yeah.
That's very brave.
There's only volume 1, so there's more to come.
Yeah.
It's very brave of you. And I think something resonated in there when he said, I'm trying to love myself, but I don't know how. And that's how we started the podcast also, is because we're trying to figure out life, and there are no manual. There is no book out there. You just have to figure it out. And if we can form a community of like-minded folks and have Kevin part of it and help us and help the younger generation. And that's why we're doing it, because that's all we have left is a legacy at the end of the day.
Yep. And the change really first starts with yourself. Yes. So the fact that I've actually seen him, where you can see the change, because I had an honest conversation, but I just said yeah, man, for the longest time, it was very difficult to talk to you. And I get you were going through some stuff, but we were all going through it. But I guess we all also don't know how to support properly. We're just starting to learn, we should be talking about our feelings. If you had a conversation with me 6-7 years ago, it was a stoic way of thinking. I was like, no, man, you just got to man up. You don't talk about it. Just drink and smoke and you'll be fine tomorrow. Forget about it. And that's actually not the way to deal with problems. So yeah, man, good job and big shout out to you. Yeah. So we'll put the details in there.
Awesome. That's great, Al. Thanks for sharing that. Rose, over to you.
And I will make my win really fast, because this episode is basically me talking the whole time. My win is I discovered this journalist. Her name is Whitney Webb. Whoa. I love when journalists, first of all, when they're women. Okay. I'm sorry. I just love and they know their stuff and they have receipts. I discovered her on Patrick Bet-Davis's podcast, and then she did Tom Bilyeu, and my mouth was like this the entire time. I was like, I'm not going to say what she does. She's a little controversial, but she's got some really good information. And she's just a great journalist that wants to make the world a better place. So I really appreciate people like her. So shout out. Maybe one day we'll be able to interview Whitney Webb.
Yeah.
What's her name? Whitney
Webb.
And what kind of stories, or what got you excited?
She did the Epstein story.
Oh. Yeah. I had no idea who she was until she made you watch 5 minutes of it yesterday. And just her delivery, the amount of facts she packs into one sentence, it's like, this is unreal. She knows her stuff. Yep. So it keeps you more engaged because she knows what she's talking about. Like she'll have like straight hard facts to tell you about things.
Yeah. So she's what you call the epitome of a journalist. She does her research, and she's written some books, which I'm hoping to read next year once my school's done.
Yeah. Nice.
She seems like one of those detectives with a chip on her shoulder. Once they get on the case, you can't stop them, and they'll stop at nothing to solve this mystery.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. For me, I'm really excited. As you know, I embarked and went back to school in September, enrolled in crisis communications, a certification, and I'm happy to say that I'm on the home stretch now. Should be done in about a couple of weeks. So I just want to say I'm almost there.
Yay.
When you're young and you ask your parents, like, are we there yet?
Yeah.
Are we there yet? And I'm happy to say I'm almost there. So that was it. This episode here, we're going to get right into it. It's similar to what Rose did last year. She went to the Summit of Greatness. Rose, is this your third year going to this
is my
conference?
Third year.
Okay. So Rose is going to share all things about her latest excursion. This was over in September, middle of September, that you went to the Summit of Greatness.
Yep.
We do know that the episode is going to be a little delayed, but anyhow, we just want to still get the information out there if you are interested in attending this type of a conference. So let's get in there. Why did you decide to go back again? It's your third year now.
Yeah. So I get something from it every single time. So that I go the very first year, that was in 2022. I had been recently separated. I think I'd filed for divorce. And so I was in a very, very, very vulnerable place. And I had discovered the Lewis Howes podcast. And so I thought, okay, let's try something like this. Let's try something really out of my comfort zone. And I had its ups and downs from that event, but I made some really great friends that event. And we promised ourselves that we would come back the following year. So that was in the next year. We came back. We learned a lot. I started the podcast actually from that. He inspired me to be like, keep pushing. Let's go. But we got to do this stuff. And then last year we said, my friend Jax ended up purchasing front row seats. And I was like, let's go back and sit in the front row now. So this was the third year. And I'll tell you a funny story. I woke up at 4:00 in the morning because I had to drive to SeaTac Airport, and it's about a 2-hour drive. And then I was also working that day. And I remember driving to the airport thinking, I think this is going to be my last year. Like, I'm tired now. Like, I have to go park my car, get into this thing, then go like, maybe this is just, I think I'm good now. Yeah. After the event was done, I was like, oh, hell no, I'm coming back again next year. Because that is how inspiring the weekend is. It's just motivational speakers just packed with this amazing knowledge and information, and they're just sharing it with you. Like, it's just amazing. And so I don't know if you've got a set of questions, but I want to start into the very first guest speaker that we had.
Sure.
Mic drop. We had the most amazing, I'm going to make sure I have all down here, the order, Joe Dispenza. That's right. Joe Dispenza opened the show. And let me tell you, it was nothing less of a remarkable experience being in his presence. He's probably 10 feet away sitting from me. And he's just giving you the information that you know, but you just need to hear it in person. And there's something about having 4,000 people in a room that are all here to be inspired, to be motivated. That energy in the room was like, we were all just hungry for this.
Electric.
Yeah, electric. And so he's coming out with a documentary that he's been working on with his team, because he has his own retreats that he does. Mm-hmm. And he heals people. Like, some of the stories, we saw clips of the new documentary coming out, the clips of people saying like, I couldn't walk for 10 years and now I can walk. Some things I had cancer and my cells have shrunk. Just like miracles after miracles they were displaying. And I was like, I believe it now. Like, I wouldn't have 5 years ago, but being in rooms like this, I can see now, if you're in another room where those are people who all come for this healing, I could totally see how you could get a really deep healing from being in his presence and what he stands for and how he explains how to heal.
It's like collective energy.
Yes.
Everyone's there for positivity, right? So you're collectively getting like all that positivity, instead of like the Teresa Caputo show where it's collectively dark energy, because everyone's there to like speak to someone that they've lost.
Yep. Yeah. So that was the first speaker that, we had lots of speakers, so I'm not going to go through like every single one, but I'll just going to kind of highlight the ones that has a little memory in my brain that I don't think I'll ever forget. And so there was a singer that came out and her name is Rachel Patton. And I was like, I didn't recognize her. And she sang her first song. And I was like, I think I've heard this song before. And I was like, oh, this is great. So she's singing live and she's telling her story too of her struggles of being in Hollywood and trying to make music. And, she's like, I made over like 10,000 songs before someone finally gave me an opportunity. I used to have like CDs in my trunk and I would go and hand them out and just like stories of struggle. And then she started singing the fight song. And I was like, oh, this is the woman that sang fight song. First of all, fight song was my anthem for all of 2022 and part of 2023. I'd be like, take back my life. So like, I would sing that.
I think every woman that goes through a divorce, that's their anthem.
Yes. And I was like, oh, this is the fight song lady. It was just another like check mark of like hitting something. And seeing her up there so close, she brought her daughter on stage to sit with her and sing. That was just remarkable because I was like, man, I wonder if I manifested this. I used to listen to this song. I'm not joking. I think at some weeks in my life, some moments, like every day. And that was the only thing that would get me up and going. It was like just looking in the mirror and singing the fight song. Mm-hmm. So women, if you're ever actually even men, if you're going through a really hard time and you just can't, I really would say to play the fight song by Rachel Patton and just look in the mirror and just memorize the lyrics. And then you keep singing it to yourself over and over. It changes something in your DNA. I don't know how to explain it. So I'm going to sound hocus pocus, but it does do something to you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that was the second person that was amazing. Esra Perell was there. Esra Perell is a psychotherapist. She's really cool. She talks a lot about relationships and what she's seeing, how couples are, the divorce rate is increasingly high. Couples are not connecting anymore. People are just taking their day-to-day life so seriously that they're just forgetting to have a bond with their partners. So she talks to real life couples. She does real life therapy with them. And she had come on to kind of let us know that like we're really losing the connection aspect. And it's really scary and alarming as to how much that people are not realizing, whether you're watching porn, whether you're doing marijuana, drinking alcohol, taking drugs, doom scrolling, you're just looking for a deep connection with some other human being. But we're so afraid. And that resonated with me a lot because I have become a workaholic. It's because I'm really scared to connect with people in the fear of what if I get it wrong again?
Fear of getting hurt.
Fear of getting hurt. And I'm more of the message of the weekend was like, that's okay. Like, it's okay if you get hurt. Maybe this person's meant to come in your life for a season or maybe for a reason. And then when their time is up, they'll pass on and that's okay. Like, we don't have to be so angry and bitter, like, oh, they screwed me or they did this. They come in your life. They're going to open some part of you, some part of your identity that's kind of closed or you didn't even know exists. A relationship will help you expand that part of you and open that part of you. And then maybe if they're going to stay, they stay, which is great. But if they're not meant, that's okay. Because now you discover that part of you that you didn't know existed. And I think that was her underlying message was, getting into relationships, whether it's romantic or even friendships, it's beautiful. It's amazing. That's what we humans are meant to do, is expand our consciousness. And we expand by getting ourselves into these kind of situations where we're vulnerable and we have to be honest and we have to really let our guard down. But that's where true growth really comes from. And that's what I got from her.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're a society now, like that I've said, we're a digital device society. We're all plugged in, but we're not connected. Like Nobody's actually connected, right? People are always like looking in, surfing. And I think that goes to also show, like with remote work, Amazon is mandating their employees back 5 days a week. I'm hearing Google's going to be doing that. And when we first launched the podcast, we did a 4-day work week episode, right? And Al and I were tabling whether we would do fully remote, because you're a fully remote worker and we are hybrid. And I'm telling you, I said it back then and I said it in that episode that we don't know what the scientific evidence and what the studies are going to show, and the loneliness rates of people that work fully remote 20, 30 years down the road. Yeah, right now, immediately, it might be great. You don't have to deal with traffic and the commute, which I totally understand. And I can relate relate to that because it took me 2 hours to get to work a few weeks ago. But I can tell you right now, there's something magical when you do go into the office. Even if you're just going to go in 2 days a week, you're learning that connection, the water cooler talks. You're learning to just be a human being again. And, you don't want to become so awkward and in your own ways where, when you work from home, you probably have a set routine rules. You do things a certain way. You don't think about other people. But when you're in the office, you learn perspectives. You learn about other people. You learn how, people do, like whether it's celebrating, Christmas or the holidays or how they do things. But it's such an important element. And I'm starting to see that I think some companies are now like, oh, maybe we kind of mucked up with the remote. Maybe let's find a balance with hybrid. But the other thing is the fact that the nature of the world is no one likes to get hurt. We don't want to feel those emotions. And I think even more so us, like now that I say this, is that we don't know what people's motives are and what people's intention are.
Yeah.
Right? You have good intent, but I think it's allowing people into your circle that are genuinely going to be your cheerleaders and root for you. And those are slim picking these days. So I would say just really, really pay attention and choose your friends wisely.
Yeah. And you'll know quicker. The more time you know, the more you know yourself and you become self-aware, the faster you'll be able to say, not for me. So that's what I'm really working on.
The more in tune you are with your, I say with your energy and your ability to read emotions, you'll really quickly be able to figure out who's in your life for a reason or a season.
And if you're not, I would say read Robert Greene's books. That really helped me to start understanding myself better, and then reading other people's body language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing about that's kind of like a double-edged sword though, like where you want to be vulnerable, let people into your world. The problem is, though, sometimes you do that, you let people in, you feel like you build a bond with some people, and you're under the impression, like you're saying, like, oh, I trust this person. But the biggest test is when, if you're on the same level, and then one person gets money or fame, and then you see who's going to be really around you and who's going to have or treat you the same. Because they might now look at it as like, oh, maybe you're starting to get some money, get some fame and stuff like that. Oh, you should be helping me, or I'm going to take advantage of the situation and now start mooching off this person. Now that person that you trusted or something, now you're kind of like, oh, I see a different side of you.
Right.
And that happens all the time, right? So up to that certain point, you're like, oh, this person was great. And now things are changing, or they're not wanting to change in their life, and you're starting to make changes. And now they're starting to say, oh, maybe what can I do? What can I do to take advantage of this relationship now? Mm-hmm. So it's a double-edged sword though. And then you get more to the point where like, this is why I have guards up and I block people, because things like that, it's like they changed.
Yeah, a lot of people say that in the industry as well, that the opportunists, right?
Yeah.
That's when the opportunists come out there because they have that sense of entitlement. Like, I've known you for so long.
Yeah.
But I don't think people realize is that all of these people that when they attain a certain level of successes, you don't know all the no's and the rejections and the grinding that they did. And we know what that feels like because we're taping an episode on people's birthdays sometimes on we have
Saturday evening sometimes.
Yeah. And we have to be somewhere. Sometimes we come home from work and then we've got a taping at 7:30. All the stuff that we do, it's always after hours or on the weekends. And we've been so fortunate that all of our guests have been accommodating with us. But there's a lot of grind that goes into this. And so when you get folks that want to just come in and just kind of piggyback off your success, that's what I don't like. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Especially
but you got to put the work in. I think everyone has to put the work in.
You can't give a hand out, but you can give a hand up. And like, and they still have to go through the work. Like, if you think about how much work we did, and then all of a sudden now everyone wants to jump on that, and you're like, well, do you know how much work this was to create to get to this point now? And I get why, like, when you see people with celebrities, they always have like people around them that are like, oh yeah, they became close to me after I got the fame.
Yeah.
Like when you see Kevin Hart, a few people, a lot of them still have the same crew of people they started with. And that shows a lot, because then they're like, hey, guess what? Like, I trust these people because they were with me when I had nothing, and they're still here with me.
And that's day ones. They're called your day ones.
And actually, to piggyback that, because that takes me to the next amazing speaker that came on, was David Goggin.
Ooh,
David Goggin.
Just his name.
He walked by me, and I was like, oh my God, he's so close. He's beautiful. Oh, he is so beautiful. You know that
name, David Goggins? Like, it's like you were born to be a star.
Well, his story is inspiring. So, I mean, I'll let you read his book, and you guys can go through his social media. But his theme out was, you got to put the work in. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to help you stop eating. He was referring to himself eating the 6 donuts. No one will take the donut out of your mouth and make you stop. You have to find it. And what was his biggest thing was that you got 2 voices in your head, but when you're in a really negative space, that the negative voice is very powerful, and the other voice starts to get so weakened where you only have one voice. And he said the goal is you have to keep feeding the other voice, which is I can do this. I can do it. And it's not overnight. Like you're not going to stop eating the 6 donuts the next morning. You might reduce it in a week and have 5 donuts. Oh, okay. I'm still feeling okay. And then you'll slowly cut it out and become a stronger version of yourself. But his story was so amazing. One of the guys stood up and asked him, goes, I can't lose weight. I'm struggling. I don't want to take Ozempic, but I don't know what else to do. And he goes, wait, you're asking me how I can help you lose weight? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know. Like, it was just so awesome. Like how, and then he like, dialed it back in and kind of gave him some pep talk. But he was like saying to people, like, I can tell you what you want to hear, but you have to put the work in. You have to go and do this after you're done. And that was really, really the message here. Like, yes, this weekend is here to motivate you and fill your cup, but you got to go back and do the work.
It's just like with these motivational conferences and whatnot. You could spend all your money and go attend one every other weekend and keep going. But after 6 months, if that's all you're doing is attending the conferences, when are you actually doing the work and applying it to your life? Sometimes I'll sit on YouTube and I'll go and like watch all these funny videos. And after I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I'm like, I'm sitting here watching all these other funny videos. I was like, the stuff I'm watching, I can make myself and I know we're funny. Then I'm like, put this shit down and start going record some stuff. So sometimes I'll go and start recording things because I'm just like, dude, I sat here and gave these guys like an hour of watch time. I was like, I need to start giving that shit back to myself.
Good for you. That's exactly what
it's true. And you know what you said, Rose, it's true. When we've got the 2 voices, but, and I think we're going to bring this up again because we do have 2 voices, whether you want to, or whether that voice has not been amplified yet in your voice or in your head, it will be. But for some reason, whenever you're in a negative situation or in a dark space, I'm telling you that negative voice gets amplified, right? Why? And I want to know what the scientific,
Me too. Dr. Joe Dispens.
Like, why? How does that inside dark voice knows like I'm just going to start chirping and it's amplified and it's our job to turn the volume down and be positive. But it's so hard. Like we had that conversation with Juggy when I, was listening to him because he's so positive.
Right.
And you have good days and bad days, but yeah, just to be positive and just to keep that motivation going. And from him, what I learned is it's the people around you that are going to motivate you, that are going to keep you going. And, it's your inner circle, it's your cheerleaders, it's the people. So when you have those down and out days and you're feeling in a funk, you got to make that phone call to your sibling or, to somebody and say, hey, like I'm down and out, like pick me back up. And we are our worst own critics. But when we call someone that we know is near and dear to us, they can lift you back up and get you out of your funk. So just don't keep your circle so closed off. Know your day ones and just and open up and share your vulnerabilities. And like Al's saying is like, here's the thing. When I see Al, and I'm going to give you this quick scenario before Rose, I ask you a couple more questions and we'll wrap it down. When I see Al at work, Al is in his element. I'll tell you. Half the time I know he's full of shit and he doesn't know where he's going or because he's still new to the role. But Al walks the walk and talks the talk like he's king ding-a-ling. Okay. And I see him. I was like, he don't know that, but he doesn't know this, but it's the way he plays the part. So I wish, Al, for you that you would just really maybe create an alter ego. And that is what I told Julia to do when Julia was nervous about coming on the podcast. I said, Julia, who do you like and who do you fancy and who do you want to be like? And she goes, oh, I like this person. I go, then picture yourself as that individual when you come on our podcast. And she said that to me. You told me to create an alter ego, and that's what helped me get me to the interview. And she did a TED Talks. So perhaps you create a persona and you're not Alvin Dhillon. You are that alter ego making those jokes, and just try it out. Yeah,
we'll try that.
Yeah. I have an alter ego too. I just won't say it right now, but you have to. Now. And I'll tell you, you got to fake it till you can make it. You have to. I hate that line. It's a cliche.
I feel like it's not faking. I'm putting in the work. Like I'm doing it. Yeah, it's not faking.
Because in the beginning it does feel fake. It feels like imposter syndrome. But as you keep doing it, it stops feeling like fake.
I feel like it's fake. It feels like you're not good enough. That's what it feels like. Like I don't believe. Like it feels like I don't think I'm that funny, or I don't think I can create that. But when you look at really the funniest stuff, sometimes I watch, it's the simplest shit. It was just edited right. It had the right scene. Like when I was just telling her yesterday about how we're going to start shooting some skits, when I noticed what makes a big difference is not having a tripod just sit there recording and you editing after. You need to have close, tight shots on the person. And when I'm watching the videos that I find the funniest, it's the camera is like me. So they're moving the camera around like I'm the viewer.
Like you're
so
the
I'm
eyes.
like right there. I'm not watching a camera. I'm watching you make this
We
funny
might have
stuff.
to get a GoPro.
So it's just you have to make the shots like right in your face. So then I jumped on a thing when I saw that. I started watching like other movies, like how they're making in the background, and to get those kinds of shots. Like if you watch this movie, I think they did Wolverine and the Deadpool one. To get those kinds of shots so up close, go watch the behind the scenes on YouTube. I think it's Ryan Reynolds and the other. They're wearing the camera. The camera's on the apparatus like this, like a selfie stick, and it's attached to them. So as he's running, doing all this stuff, there's no cameraman on him. He is the camera. He's wearing it. It's crazy. It's probably a 50-pound suit, camera on the back, and the camera spins around, and he's doing all his shots. And that's what I was like. And I watched. Then it shows a finished product, and I'm like, that's why it's so intense, because I'm with him. So I'm like on his head watching, and that's why I was like, oh, I got some crazy ideas now. But I need someone to record me tight shots as I do these things. Like if I'm recording you to get the funny look, it can't be just on a tripod. It has to be like whatever thing you're acting, I'm right there with you. So it's a person who's getting experience like, oh my God, I was there with them.
And
did you see how passionate he just
I was just going to say,
I love editing.
And I was going to say to you, Ange, be careful now if you want to watch a movie with Al, because Al's becoming a movie director. He analyzes every scene. You see how the scene just happened? He'll pause and go, do you see how the camera? And I'm like, oh, is this what it's going to be like?
We were watching Patrick Bet-David yesterday, and the first thing I was like, dude, this guy's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars. This podcast is big budget. And they had the audacity to take a Fiji water bottle and print out his logo, his Valuetainment logo, and he pasted it on the bottle. It doesn't even cover the whole bottle. He just taped it on. And it's all, the main focus of the camera is this bottle. And then if you camera pans to the side, you can see the Fiji water side. And you're like, dude, I have seen other people on lower budget podcasts, and I've seen it in a corporate environment. You can go order custom made water for like, and all they do is just take a regular bottle and put a label on it for like a decent amount. But he had the audacity to take a printout of his logo and just tape it onto the thing. It's like me taping a cheap thing on this mug and then saying, all right, guys, we got 1 million people going to watch this thing. Let's put this right in the front here. I was like embarrassed for him watching this. I was like, what the hell?
Well, okay, here we go, Al. We're gonna take it down a notch because you're super excited and I can feel your energy.
I love editing.
And Rose, I think you're radiating Al. But we're gonna get back to Rose and Al, but I think there's a lot of confidence in there. But while Alvin Dhillon is building that confidence, find your alter ego that will carry out the skit until Alvin Dhillon gets confident.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, Rose, I want to quickly get back to
I've got a couple more people I want to just
let's
cover.
think, what was the most valuable takeaway or insight that you gained from the event?
So there's just to believe in myself more. And okay, so one of the things I really enjoy at Lewis House had the theme of the weekend. And this is always this theme, but it's a good reminder, is to be of service. So whether you're a comedian, whether you're a banker or you're an actress, whatever you want, be of service. And he said, you keep honing in on your craft and you just keep working at it. The money will come. He's like, the opportunities to come. I promise you, doors will open. Just keep working on something that you can give back to the world. So like I always say to Al, like Al has this gift to make people laugh. And we're in a really dark time in the world right now. Now more than ever, we need comedians. We need people who make other people laugh. And so I started adopting more of Al's personality, and I started trying to be like natural, more funny, telling more jokes. Like during the weekend, one of my friends was like, "You're really funny," because I would just say dumb things, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, it made you laugh, didn't it? That's all that matters. It brought a smile on your face." So
you just play dumb and go along and like talk about the simple dumb things, and that's what people want. We get too much like until like. No, it should be we shouldn't be talking like that. We're grown now. No, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You still have responsibilities, but we don't need to act grown. Like we can still act like immature as long as you're doing like you're living your life and you're being responsible and you're taking care of all your things.
I think that's the problem, right? God, what was it? I was watching Oprah with Kamala Harris talking about something, and she said that the kids, because she's adopted the kids, I guess, in Africa and from the school, and she goes that one of the kids goes like, adulting is so hard. Yeah. It sucks. I just want to be a kid again. And I think that's what the beauty is. We can still adult, but keep the essence of our inner child. We got to find a way to merge them without still being immature. Like you're responsible, you fulfill all of your adulting obligations, but don't lose that fun personality. Because when we were children, those were the best times of our lives.
Yes.
Right? So Rose, let's do a couple more things and let's wrap it up for you.
I got two more people I really want to cover here. So what I really love about Lewis House is he embodies diversity and inclusion. He always, every year that I've been on there, he brings people from all walks of life. He doesn't just, I want celebrities or I want rich, all kinds of people. And he brought, her name is Muniba Marzari. I'm going to pronounce that wrong, Marzari. And she's a Pakistani activist. And she was in a car accident that left her paralyzed from the hips down. So she's in a wheelchair now, like permanent. And she came on and she was so motivational about when it first happened, I asked myself, why did God do this to me? Why is this? Because they told her you're never going to be able to walk again. Oh. And she said, my mom had said to me, this happened for a reason. We don't know what the reason is right now, but as time goes on, you will figure out why this happened to you and what you're supposed to do with this gift. It's a gift. Wow. We don't look at being that as a gift. And I thought, wow. And she said this one part. I am probably here for only one person to hear my message. And my friend Chona is also at the moment in a wheelchair, and she's going through some issues as well. And I thought right away, I was like, she's here for her. She's here to help her, inspire her. Even if this is the new normal, you can still do something because she's creating art. She's an activist. She's, her art is now in, she said, New York in some art place. Yeah. Wow. Just, she adopted a child. She's just, and her energy and her spirit is still beautiful. This accident that took part of her body away, it didn't take her soul or her spirit away. That the love she has inside, the excitement she still has. And I was just very happy that he brought someone like her on stage and let her showcase her story to the Western world. I really appreciate it.
Powerful for a visible minority, right?
Yes.
Because when things like that happen in our culture, and kudos to her mom for being her soldier and saying you're going to be okay. But how many times have we heard stories where their partners take off on them or they're now suddenly a burden and they don't want to take care of them, right?
Yeah. And the last person I'm going to do was I always I like rap music, but I sometimes really as I'm getting older, it's I don't like rap lyrics. I don't want to hear about hoes and stuff like that. This, come on, can we just not find a way to make rap cleaner or more for the younger generation to hear and be inspired by? So he brought on this gentleman that I've never heard of. He went viral on TikTok named Harry Mack. This guy was a positive rapper. It was so neat. And what was really cool was he was freestyling. And then he took 8 words from the audience and made a rap from incorporating their words. He was so good. He lit us up, very positive with his lyrics. There was no tearing people down, no saying derogatory things, just all positive. And I was like, yes, we need more rappers like him in the world. And so that was my final highlight of it. There's lots that I experienced and a lot of other speakers that I have left out, but I just wanted to share with you what I experienced this weekend. And yes, I'm going back next year. Next year is going to be at the Oscar Theater. So that is going to be even more exciting. Cool. And if you're someone like me who needs something to fill your cup, I say go to this. It's anywhere between $300 to $800 for a ticket, but it is well worth investing in yourself. There's so many takeaways and you come back a different person.
So he's doing it back in LA again.
LA again, right? Which I'm happy.
Okay, so maybe Al and I will join you.
Doing a 20% off. Yeah. He's doing a 20% off discount right now. I just looked at the website right now for early purchasers, and it's smaller this year because the Adobe Theater can carry 3,500, which I think is better. I think the smaller is actually more intimate, better. But I would say you two could think about it coming down. It's a great experience.
My only thing is I can't plan a year in advance. I can barely plan 2 months.
I've already planned for next year. I will be there next year.
A lot can happen in a year. But anyhow, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So that was Rosa's Summit of Greatness recap. She went and saw Lewis Howes, Dr. Joe Dispenza, David Goggins, and got motivationally inspired to elevate, motivate, and inspire you. And she inspired us. And now look at Al. Al was all excited here too.
I was like, I want to go edit a video.
So with that said, the team is signing off. We're going to be back next week. Like I said before, if you're new to our channel, we would love your subscription and we would love your help. And once we receive your subscription, please go ahead and hit that notification button. You have no idea how much your support and just clicking helps us out. I don't know what happens into the world of algorithm. We don't know any of that kind of stuff, but all we know is that we appreciate your support because it seems to be helping us grow our channel. So with that said, we just want to say thank you so much. We'll be back next week. Stay safe. Think about a win of the week. And remember, if you've got 2 voices going on, shut down that negative voice, turn the volume down and amplify the positive voice. So until next week, friends and family, take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.